Yo guys, what's up? As requested, I'm going to review a popular bodybuilding motivation video.
I walked into Metroflex gym. I didn't know what to expect, man. I remember we pulled up in front of the parking lot. You could hear the music thumping out in the parking lot. It was so loud.
That's Ronnie Coleman. He's actually in a wheelchair now. He's disabled. All of these people who go to the gym there are disabled, but he's severely disabled because of the bodybuilding now.
Ronnie's in there. There's probably a dozen other bodybuilders in there that day the first time I pulled up. I was like, wow, this is a gym. Not like anything I'd ever seen before.
Really, this whole game, it's not rocket science. The biggest thing is you got to be intense. Whatever exercise you choose, of course, you're going to have things that you like better than others, but the most important thing in every workout, to me, is just intensity. I mean, you've got to go to failure. If you're just holding back.
You have to go to failure. It's as if you have to push yourself so that you feel very severe pain. It actually has to be torture. You cannot simply go and work out once a week a little bit. No, you have to use a lot of drugs because you hate yourself and don't care about your life. And on top of that, you have to push yourself at the gym and lift man-made metal, very heavy man-made metal, together with these other deformed slaves in this building just to destroy your health and to age yourself and to die in your 40s, 50s. You have to do it. No, you shouldn't do any of that. A normal, happy and healthy human being never even thinks about that.
Going through the motions, there's a lot of guys in the pro ranks that are there because they just have the best genetics. Once you get to that upper level, man, if you want to win and be a champion, you've got to be able to suck it up and you've got to be able.
This is all about finding the best drug dealer. That's about it.
To go for it, The basic training of a champion hasn't changed.
This is a severe mental illness. It's a disability because of how severely obese they are. Their BMI is 50 plus at least. It's just insane. And it really just shows very severe insecurity because there's no way on earth that a tall and handsome man would ever even think about working out. That's why 99% of so-called bodybuilders, which are really body destroyers, are either short or ugly or have some kind of bad genes. It's never tall and handsome men who do it. There's maybe one exception, which is Michael Hearn. He has a pretty good face and he's relatively tall. I don't know what got him into bodybuilding. It can be some kind of trauma. It can be none of that. There's exceptions to everything, but the rule is that you need to be ugly or short to do this kind of extreme bodybuilding where you don't care about your life whatsoever. You don't care that you will die very prematurely.
Since, Arnold's day. That's what made Ronnie so great for the 8 times he won the Olympia. He used to love just beating the crap.
He won the Olympia. Chris Bumstead also won the Olympia, right? He looks like he's 50 years old now, even though he's not even 30 yet. What does it matter if you destroy your health and your life? What are you doing? You inject a bunch of drugs, then you lift this man-made metal for no reason, completely stress your body, and then you show off your drugged off body in front of a jury who then give you a man-made metal, which you can then show off to everybody. Look guys, I was lifting man-made metal for years in a gym with other slaves together who hate themselves. I injected a bunch of drugs just like any drug addict. I'm just like any heroin addict. I'm an absolute loser, junkie. But here, I got this medal. Awesome, now I can show it off to all of my other drugged up loser friends.
Crap out of all of us and laughing at us, it would just make all of us try harder. It made us all better.
And the amount of the energy and the atmosphere in there is like no other gym I've been to. It's unlike any gym in the world, man.
Man, this is not a normal human body. Your heart can never take it. It's just impossible. That's not how humans are supposed to look like.
It's not just that too. The pace is incredible. It's not some scientific formula some guy comes up with that doesn't even work out. It's all about being intense, putting everything you got into it, and that's what makes you a real winner, what makes those workouts work.
This is how we train. We go balls to the wall all out every day, every time we go to the gym. That's how we do it, and I think with today's generation, I think people got a little softer, man. There's very few, I'm not gonna say nobody, There are still a few young guys out there that want to bust ass and go heavy and give 100% and try to do better than they did last time.
You are the weak losers. How do you not realize that everybody is laughing at you? You have to be incredibly weak to go down this road, to actually become addicted to drugs. It's the definition of weakness. It's pathetic. You're at the absolute bottom of the weak slaves. You're really just showing your insecurity.
They win the gym every single time. Those guys are few and far between.
Bodybuilding isn't for the faint of heart. It is for the wild people of the world.
Literally not. The wild people would never do anything even close to this, nothing even related to it. People in nature who are actually wild, and wild animals also, all of them live sedentary lives. They live in their comfort zones. They are super healthy, happy. They would look at you and literally see you as mentally ill. That's the only conclusion they could come to. You're as far away from being wild as you possibly could be. You're a domesticated, brainwashed loser slave. Oh my God, he has chains around his neck. Could it be any clearer? Seriously. I literally just said that he's a slave and he puts chains around his neck. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Wake up.
Early 80s when the big corp...
Warning, hardcore weight training can be dangerous and requires athletic ability and common sense. What? Yes, you need common sense to understand that you should never enter this kind of a gym, especially, again, as I said, if you go and work out once or twice a week, a little bit, whatever. This is just a whole different level. This has nothing to do with normal working out. All who enter and train here assume responsibility for directions. No responsibility for accidents of any kind. Yeah, it's a good warning.
Competitors, camaraderie among us all.
Wow, that looks really strange. All of these people look like they can hardly breathe. They cannot even properly walk, let alone run. All of which human beings in nature do with ease. That's why I said it has just nothing to do with being wild. Wild animals would never be this stupid. It would just be impossible to convince any wild human being to do any of this. A wild animal would only put the weight on this bar if you would threaten to kill him. If he would be forced to do it, there's no way that he, by himself, would ever do it, because a wild animal has common sense. A wild human being only does what he wants to do. He never has these mentally ill goals in his head. He doesn't want to achieve some kind of physique which doesn't exist in nature because he watched the Hulk as a kid, read some kind of comic books or who knows what. A wild human being only listens to his intuition, and your intuition tells you to never do any of this. Then they also drink a bunch of water. It's interesting because the people who still live somewhat naturally are all reported not to drink water or to drink water very rarely, whereas these people, basically all of the gym goers, will tell you to drink tons of water all the time.
Training a client next to Branch and Johnny the other day, and then Branch was rowing. We go all the way up to 300.
What is the actual purpose of the biceps, for example, or any of these muscles, the chest muscles? Are you ever gonna actually push something upwards while laying on the ground or on a bench? There's just no use for it in everyday life whatsoever. It's all about looking a certain way. And the reason you want to look like that is because you want to compensate or because you've been brainwashed.
On dumbbell, 250-pound dumbbell, and he's just one arm rowing, heaving that thing like a maniac.
Yeah, and what's the point of any of this? What did he achieve by lifting the dumbbell? It's very crazy that people today look at this kind of footage and don't see how severely mentally ill these people are. A wild animal would look at this and right away see that there's something incredibly wrong with the heads of these people, but it's as if people nowadays look at it and just believe that it's some people who want to build muscle. No, this is very, very severe body dysmorphia. It actually says a lot about our society that most people don't realize how incredibly abnormal this is. What I also notice is that they can't do any full motions. They only lift or pull halfway, probably because there's too many muscles. Their bodies are so unnatural that they can't do full range motions anymore.
Some of these guys trained in the gym, and I outworked them in the gym. And I realized, man, these guys are actually probably more gifted than I am, but I beat them because I outtrained them, and I was gifted.
All that you really need to do to know what's going on here is look at the people's face expression. You can right away see that they hate it so incredibly much. They really don't want to do it, but they push themselves to do it, which again completely proves that these people hate themselves. These are very depressed and mentally unwell people, which you should really not take any advice from.
100%, and don't let nobody outwork you. Eventually you'll win.
This video was actually very sad. These people are very depressed. You can only feel sorry for them. Maybe they experienced some kind of trauma. It seems like they are trying to work through the trauma, which is of course impossible because you have to confront the trauma itself or you will never get over it. You can't lift man-made metal and pump yourself full of drugs to get over whatever happened to you as a child or later on. Otherwise, of course, as I said, they may have been brainwashed by the media to try to achieve this kind of an unnatural body, which would kill you in nature, seeing as there's no way that you would survive. You can hardly even walk, let alone run. You can't climb any places. You can't squeeze through anywhere. You would just rot in nature. It's just a body which is incompatible with nature. That's why it just looks so incredibly abnormal, which really just means unnatural. And as I also said, of course, a lot of them are also simply insecure. When you combine trauma with insecurity, then this is exactly what you get. And as I said, this really says a lot about our society, because instead of people looking at this as a mental asylum, people actually see this as a building full of people who are strong. It's the weakest possible losers on earth. It's junkies. It doesn't get any worse. Who are trying to achieve some kind of goals. It's a goal that you can never achieve. That's how it is with all of these addictions. How long are you going to train? How many drugs are you going to use? What type of a body do you actually want to achieve? You can train for 20 years, but all that you will achieve will be you ending up in a wheelchair, which is what happened to Ronnie Coleman. There's just never any actual end goal with all of these man-made addictions, whereas in nature, you know exactly what you're supposed to do. You have children, it makes you happy. You eat raw meat, it makes you happy. You don't need to have these imaginary goals in your head, these goals which you can never achieve. Of course it can never make you happy because there's no end goal. It goes on forever. Whereas everything that's natural is very clearly defined. You know exactly what you're supposed to do and how to become happy and healthy. Life is just very simple. Thanks for watching.